Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show, Week 3 in the NFL, which means Dieter Kurtenbach is back. We're going to be running through some segments here. We've got Mega Block Unit, 20 Unit Whale, Can't Miss Bets. Get into your first Mega Lock Guaranteed Bet of the Week.
Yeah, let's talk about them Houston Texans who are flying around. And I know that Sunday Night Football wasn't the most incredible aesthetically pleasing performance, but
One way to put it.
The underlying numbers and the underlying eye test told me that the Houston Texans are a team that just have it together. And the way that they hit on defense, you saw Caleb Williams just getting battered into the ground again and again and again. They have not just one, but two really good corners. Lassiter, this rookie that they got out of Georgia, was my highest rated corner in the 2024 draft. He is immediately showing up. I think Derek Stingley's the best corner in the NFL. You have a defensive-minded head coach, but the offensive brain power with Bobby Slowick to get C.J. Stroud into the right spots. They have arguably the best receiver room in the NFL. I got some questions with the run game. You can question the offensive line a little bit. But in that system, those are things that can be easily mitigated. You can't make up for missing a Tank Dell. You can't make up for missing, Diggs. You can't miss those guys, and you certainly can't miss the quarterback. You can do something with the running backs. Meanwhile, everyone's now high on Minnesota's supply, and I understand why. I really do. I mean, I've had to watch that game 3 or 4 times for my day job here. Minnesota came through on third, and not just third down, third and longs again and again and again against the 49ers. I think that's a sign of a really good team. And I've been telling people for weeks, Kevin O'Connell might be the best coach in the NFL. What he can do with his offensive personnel, which was limited. I mean, they had no Jordan Addison. They had no Justin Jefferson down the stretch. Aaron Jones was on the sideline for a lot of that. And they were still carving up the 49ers defense on big money downs with Sam Darnold as their quarterback. Kevin O'Connell is just that good. He needs to be talked about in that realm. And I feel like there's some overcorrection happening here. I feel like everyone's looking at Minnesota and saying, oh man, they're home dogs. Let's go take them. I don't see it. I think that this is Houston going in as the better overall team with more talent, with C.J. Stroud, who has answered every question that's ever been thrown his way in the NFL. Yes, Brian Flores' defense is tough. I think that they are one of the few teams that are capable of handling it because they spread it out a little bit more. Tight splits against a chaos defense is really tough. I just think 1.5 is a disrespectful number. So I'm going all in on the Houston Texans this week, minus 1.5 on the road at Minnesota.
Yep. And I know you remember that the 49ers had trouble with the Vikings last year as well. I start to buy into a little bit of that, we're cross conference or cross division opponents, and we play each other twice in 2 years or once every 2 or 3 years, and the similar outcome seems to happen when these two coaches meet up. I think that's a part of it. I think you're going to see a lot. I don't want to say better offensive line play from the Houston Texans, but I think that what I do want to say better. I'm not saying it's been bad, is what I'm trying to say.
Are you saying in relation to the 49ers? Because I'm not sure you can divide by 0 there, Lander.
Yeah, that's fair. No, yeah, there was not much going on the O-line for the Niners. I agree.
It's brutal.
The pass rush for the Vikings was obviously a humongous problem. And to a degree, they limited the run as well. I'm looking right now at I want to look at the defense and see what their rush.
Yeah, it was a pretty uninspiring running performance from the Niners. They won on volume, but they weren't getting the chunk plays until later on in the game. It came down to the offensive line there. Yeah. And ultimately, I think if we really want to get into the nitty-gritty of it, the Niners had a 6'1" quarterback who doesn't go to his ex-receiver as his first option anymore because that ex-receiver wasn't there in training camp. So he's looking to a guy like Deebo Samuel. He's looking to a guy like George Kittle. He's looking to a guy like Juwan Jennings. His 1 and 2 options last year were Christian McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk. That wasn't there because they couldn't practice that when they were installing the offense. So when you have a Brian Flores chaos defense where they're sometimes rushing 2 and they're sometimes rushing 8, now you have to click through your progressions fast. And your first read is Deebo Samuel, who does not separate. And which is why you see, Brock Purdy getting some pretty high completion above expectation numbers, why he has one of the highest aggressive throw rates in the NFL. It's just not CJ Stroud. Again, you're also doing it with tight splits. So you have a lot of dudes in the box, and everybody's pretty much in the box on offense too. And so everyone thinks, well, Bobby Slowick runs the same offense. The fuck he does. Look at how they spread out. They play They play more of a Zach Robinson, Sean McVay full 11, and they really space it. And I think that they've had some success in the run game in the past because they space it out. And we've seen the passing success. They push it deep down the field, and they push it outside the numbers from the jump. Those aren't outbreaking routes. Those are routes that start outside the numbers and stay outside the numbers, like they're the goddamn Texas Longhorns of 2007, which we can all relate to here.
100%. And man, some really good Jordan Shipley, I believe, on that.
Jordan Shipley in the goddamn bubble screen, Josh.
Love that.
We were there. Play. It was terrible.
That. It was awful. It was brutal as Mizzou fans. But the CJ Stroud stuff, I'm with you. They're going to run 3 wide receivers almost every play, like 75% of the time for sure. Like to your point about the 11, the guys that they have on the field. So I agree with all that. CJ Stroud is better than Brock Purdy. We're not getting into that right now.
No. I mean, like it's not worth debating. Like Brock Purdy can't do it against that defense, and CJ Stroud has been dominant.
That's why they brought in Stephon Diggs. Like, I'm sorry if you drafted Stephon Diggs too high in your fantasy leagues, it wasn't worth it. But he's going to be a wonderful blanket and a guy that's going to be a great possession receiver for CJ all season. On top of maybe the best wide receiver in the league, in Nico Collins. But let me move to my mega unit whale lock of the week. Which is fade Bo Nix. I'm fading Bo Nix, and I'm buying Baker Mayfield. I've been buying Baker Mayfield. Said that on a show preseason that he was a wonderful fantasy pick as your quarterback in like the 11th round is when you could probably get him. So
I'm enjoying some of that Godwin action.
That's what this comes down to is like, welcome back Chris Godwin is a huge part of this. Right. So I'll start with Godwin, even though he's not the number one idea, but second in yards, third in receptions, first among wide receivers in catch percentage. Got the couple TDs. You still have Mike Evans there, who also, by the way, has 2 TDs.
He's pretty good.
He's pretty good. So the offense will continue to hum, even if Rachaad White is a little bit banged up.
You got Bucky back there, right?
Exactly.
I think that transition is happening in real time. Like Rachaad White's not a good back. Move him to third down roles and have Bucky Irving carry it on first and second down.
Another wonderful piece of DFS advice or dynasty advice, whatever. Bucky Irving is one of the best guys to have in your team for next season. There's no question. Totally. I think they've always known Rachaad White, as good as he's looked in the pass game, was a little bit, to a degree, he was not totally long for that role as like the every down back, even though he's big. They're going to run him into the ground and that'll be it. But either way, for the way that this team is going to move the ball against Denver, that's really what I care about. When you look at the defensive line for this Broncos squad, nothing there. They're not getting any movement going forward. That's going to continue to be a problem for them. The other notes that I was looking at for this team, mostly how much I love Baker Mayfield, but I'll start with how much I don't like Bo Nix, which is Bo Nix right now, the stuff I was looking at, 24th in completion percentage. So he is 20th in yards, third in attempts. That's not good. This team is going to continue to be losing. I think I'm looking at a play of over 30.5 pass attempts for Bo Nix. The Bucks move the ball down the field pretty quickly. They don't take too much time in the huddle or off the play clock. So there's going to be a good amount of possessions. He's 28th in passer rating, so he'll have the attempts. But what makes you think that he's like, who is he throwing to? We had Dulcich dropping 2 of them last week. So the O-line also has the 5th worst pass grade. Not great when you have your rookie quarterback in there now on the road in sweltering Tampa heat, by the way, looking like 75% humidity, whatever it's going to be. They also have the 9th worst rush grade. So that's why I'm not worried, like if they stop the pass somehow, that they can, if they stop the run somehow, that they'll be able to handle the pass. There's nothing there. Their corners continue to get torched. This is still under a tutty. It's -6.5 for the Bucks here, so I'm feeling pretty good about that one. Like, put it in your survivor plays.
And one of the strangest aspects of this is I'm looking at just a line right under it in Vegas and Carolina, and I don't actually have a play on that one, but the total in that game with, Carolina, who should actually be better in my opinion, but still just abysmal offense. In Las Vegas, which is not a good offense at all, the total on that game is 40. All right. You got Miami with Skylar Thompson and Seattle. The total on that one is 41.5. The total on Tampa Bay and Denver, with Tampa Bay as nearly a touchdown favorite, is 40. So the implication, Josh, is only that Bo Nix not just sucks, but he sucks to the tune of maybe fewer than 10 points a game. That's the implication. I know that that's not the actual implied line, but they are erring on the side of Bo Nix cannot run this offense. And if you needed any indication on if he can run this offense or not, that scene where he goes into the huddle and he can't get off the play call until there's like 6 seconds left on the play clock and he's just struggling to get it in. I mean, Sean Payton is an ideologue. He does not simplify things. You either do it his way or not. He has the contract that says you do it his way or not. I wouldn't be shocked if we see Jared Stidham at some point in the next couple of weeks so that they can do the right thing and give Nix the year to learn all the other things that you have to do as a quarterback in order to be successful, particularly in a system as complicated as Sean Payton. And you know what? Truth be told, I kind of appreciate Sean Payton not dumbing it down.
That's fine.
We're gonna run an NFL offense. His issue was he gave the kid too much credit.
Yeah,
well,
and
I guess he's like he's a middle-aged man at this point. But
Bo Nix older than a number of college quarterbacks playing. I mean,
what is it? Utah and Oklahoma State are playing this weekend. And both of those quarterbacks are still older than Bo Nix.
29-year-olds. But either way, by the way, the other thing you have me thinking about with this Panthers-Raiders game is kind of an over. You've got the red rifle going with Bryson
I think they're going to be in a good position there.
I think points is a play here. Gardner, as bad as the offense has looked at times for the Raiders, definitely figured out, oh, wait, maybe I should throw to Devontae Adams every time in the second half of last game. And then they beat the Ravens.
Who on Carolina is going to stop? But again, I don't want to get into that game because that thing is just Trap City written all over it. Like totally Andy Dalton could go out and have 335 yards. They have good receivers, but the Carolina defense is still just awful. So I actually, you know what? I'm not putting in any of this. I have prepared, and I much like Sean Payton, I refuse to adapt to the situation at hand. But between you and me, I kind of like the over there too. Yeah, I think, but between us, I think we'll be seeing some money on that. Luckily, no one's watching us. So
let's get to the second segment we got here, which is Stinky Bet of the Week. So to be very clear about what the Stinky Bet of the Week is, this is a bet where it looks too good to be true, therefore it is, and you see all the public money coming in on that game, so you go ahead and take the opposite of it. I know where we're starting. Let's get to Packers-Titans.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk a little bit about the game that the Packers just played, which was marred by a puking incident, but ultimately was Josh Jacobs versus the Indianapolis Colts and Anthony Richardson, who doesn't know what he's doing at quarterback. Josh Jacobs carried it 32 times in that game. 32, okay? That's an obscene number in the modern NFL. That's some shit from the turn of the century. And I'm not talking about the 19. I'm talking about the 2000. Like that's some Jerome Bettis nonsense.
Right.
They carried it 53 times in that game. The Packers did. Okay. They won. Malik Willis, credit to him, he went 12 for 14. Like it was a fine, solid performance. Tennessee is like a shockingly decent football team. They just have an ass quarterback. Okay. Now, here's the thing with ass quarterbacks when they're young. They can get better. They can learn. They can improve. I don't need him to improve to the point where the Tennessee Titans are a playoff team. I need him to improve to the point where they can cover a 2-point spread. Yeah. Right? That's where I need them to be. And right now, 76% of bettors are on the Green Bay Packers, at least from my data. Who the hell knows what is true and what's not? 76% are on the Packers. They're saying, Malik Willis, come on down. They're buying into narrative. Malik Willis gets traded just before the season. They go with Will Levis instead, and they don't even want Malik Willis around to be the backup. They're going with Mason Rudolph as the backup. And now Malik Willis goes in and he beats the Colts, and everyone's like, oh, wouldn't it be so great if Malik Willis put one to the Tennessee Titans? And again, I think it would be great. I think that'd be a fun narrative. But ultimately, Tennessee's the better team here. They're legitimately, I like a lot of what Green Bay's doing, but Tennessee has a defense that's capable of stopping the run to a certain degree and certainly stopping the pass. And they're rounding into form. They can rush the passer. They can stuff the run. They have good linebackers. They have good defensive linemen. And I think they have a pretty good secondary, especially when Snead starts stepping up. Here's what they're going to do. They're going to dare the Packers to run it into their face, 10 out of the first 12 plays. They're going to say, you want to do the same thing you did last week? Good luck to you. We're going to stop it, and we're going to make Malik Willis a player that we know better than anybody on the planet. We're going to make him throw, and we're going to show exactly why, even with your great receivers and even with your great offensive scheme, we're going to show you exactly why we traded him away. And I think Will Levis does just enough because they do have the offensive firepower. I think they do have the offensive line, and I think they have the running game to really attack the Packers in ways that they haven't been pushed quite yet.
Totally.
So
I think we're both saying the same thing about that last week, which is that the Colts lost that game. The Packers certainly did not win it.
Halfway competent quarterback, but Joe Flacco in there. I mean, that's a 24 to 14 win.
Anthony Richardson is going to be boomer bust all year, but the thing that the reason they lost is like, why are there still 5-man fronts with 2 linebackers on your defensive sets when you have a mobile quarterback that has proven he can't throw the ball 20 yards down the field? They don't have a possession receiver in Josh Downs last week. He's coming back, I think, but they didn't have a possession receiver last week. What are we doing here? Then on the other side of the ball, how does a quarterback go 12 for 14 for 122 yards, 11 yards per completion, and you still can't outscore that? So
he's out here playing NFL blitz, man.
And by the way, Jonathan Taylor rushed for 11 times for over 100 yards. So you have your star running back getting 10 yards a carry, and you still can't move the ball down the field to score. Turnovers are a big problem. The thing about the Tennessee defense, they still have the ability to limit the rush. They've just been so good against the pass. Teams have honestly been forced to run against them. Yeah. They've given up. The thing that I like the most about them, fewest yards per play on defense that they've given up. And look, you play Caleb Williams and then Malik Willis, you're going to look really good. So even if you dumb that number down and take into account and adjust it to like 10th overall,
I do think they're going to look good against Malik Willis.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. 100%. Well, yeah, no, it was.
But
Caleb and Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers also looking really inconsistent right now. But
correct. But passing yards first in the NFL, right? I get that on defense. First down.
This is awesome. Yeah.
That's the number, baby. First downs is everything. And by the way, if you're in a fantasy league right now and your commissioner doesn't incentivize first downs as opposed to receptions, you're doing it wrong. The whole game is about moving the chains. True. And you can't move the chains against the Tennessee Titans. And yes, you're right. They were facing subpar competition. The reason that they are 0-2 is because their quarterback is ass.
It's true.
It doesn't mean that they're not in these games. And it doesn't mean that their defense stinks. And I think that as quality as the operation is in Green Bay, they had to do everything in their power to insulate their quarterback last week. Yeah. He's not going to just suddenly in this course of the week now know the entire offense and be able to execute it. I'm betting on Will Levis over Malik Willis because I saw the Tennessee Titans make the exact same bet.
Yeah, and I would make the argument Mike Vrabel doesn't lose one of those games that they lost, but especially the special teams play they gave up against the Bears. Used to be so good at it, but
that's true. And I don't know, maybe he'll be back, but I think Callahan's a pretty damn good coach.
He gets it done, and that the problem is that we know he's going to pass the ball, and he's never run the ball as a coach, as a play caller. So they're going to need to keep giving the ball to Tony Pollard. I like him this week. They've clearly chosen him over Tajay Spears. I think he's a reasonable play for a touchdown. Yeah, totally. And I think Tajay still has a future, but he's also banged up this week. My bet here for Stinky Bet, I wanted to go with the Giants. I can't do it. I just can't do it. I really wanted to at plus 6.5 versus the Browns, but I just couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it.
I did something. I went with something that was similar to what I was talking about with that Vikings and 49ers sort of. We play each other. It's a 5-point spread, and the dog keeps winning. That's what we have back in this Jacksonville Buffalo game with 2 Monday night games, right? And this is one where the part of this is the Bills are super banged up. That's a big reason for what I'm saying. But Matt Milano gone now. Terrell Bernard left last week as well. That was their leading tackler last year when Milano was out. You got Taron Johnson, their nickel cornerback, also out, and a couple of safeties banged up. So we'll see how healthy they are as well. So they were losing guys on defense, dropping like flies against the Dolphins in the second half, which was sad to see because everything else was going so right for them. You had Bills fans jumping off the team bus onto tables, which was record-breaking and back-breaking, literally. So like they're back in that sense. But the Bills, it's not that I don't trust them. It's not that I don't like them. It's simply just the spot. It's just them smelling their own stuff after a big win against a team that I think we're going to talk about in the Dolphins that is just not good.
No, they're not good.
90% of the bets on the money line and the money. The bets and the money are 97% on Buffalo. So nobody believes in this Jacksonville team.
No.
That's really what this comes down to. Now, if underlying numbers aren't really going to help much of a case, if you look at EPA per play just overall for the Jags, you got to go down a little ways. You got to go down to 19th. And we know the Bills have been a really good team, both moving the ball and forcing the other team off the field. And I get all of that. I am fading recent results in a situation where ETN's going to continue getting the ball. I think they're going to run all over Buffalo. You can now pass on Buffalo. Evan Ingram being out sucks because he could have taken advantage of a lack of linebackers for the Bills. That would have been huge. He's questionable. Not sure if he's going to be out there. But I also think Brian Thomas should do a lot better than he did last week against two of the best corners in the league in Cleveland. Now he's getting this Bills secondary, defensive secondary, which is banged up. Believe in Josh Allen. I still think there's points in this game, but I think we're looking at like a 27-22 weird kind of game.
Well, that's how Jacksonville plays games, right? What's the number you're getting on this? Because I see as much as 5.5 at MGM right now.
You can get this is Monday night, so you can get 5.5 on MGM.
Yeah,
that's the only place that's hanging a 5.5 right now. So other than that, it's 5.
So I mean, and I see a 4.5 with FanDuel on Buffalo as we talk here on Thursday morning. So like, listen, I'm seeing 97% of the money line bets on the Buffalo Bills, which I get, like, right, it's minus 230 and all that, but there's an incongruency to all of this, that when we talk about a stinky bet, this is what we're talking about.
So stinky,
right? Like you're getting 2/3 of the bets on a Buffalo team coming off a win that they've never not won. What was the last time the Miami Dolphins beat the Buffalo Bills? They totally have their number. You got Allen, by the way, we haven't even mentioned, he's still got that hand thing. And I know that they say it doesn't affect him, but Jacksonville does have some actual pass rushers, unlike the Dolphins. Right. They do have a little bit of a defense. And Jacksonville's going to be up and down. That's what a 9-8 team does. They're 9-8 in perpetuity. They'll never not be 9-8. Yeah. And in fact, that's an upgrade over what they once were. So like Doug Peterson's your coach, you're going 9-8. And that means you're going to get some and you're going to miss some. But to give up, nearly a extra point free touchdown here in some on some books is somewhat absurd, particularly too, because the home field advantage in Buffalo on a Monday night, it's going to be pretty raucous, don't get me wrong, but it's a Monday night in September. You're not going in there in late October, November, December, January and having to fight any elements. It's going to be effectively the same. It's going to be a nice, cool night for the Jacksonville Jags. They're going to welcome the weather compared to what they've been operating in. And Trevor Lawrence, I know that we just sort of forget about him. We don't out of sight, out of mind, because he plays for London's team. But like, he still has it. He still has quality stuff. They still drop too many balls, but they have good receivers. They have a good running game. The offensive line is okay. But I feel like, especially to Monday night game, teams get up for it. You get a little bit of extra time to work on it. This just feels like a field goal game to me, and you're giving me an extra 2.5 points on that. You got to take it. You got to fade the public on this.
That's it. It's stinky for a reason. You don't feel like it. Like there's no really underlying metrics about the lines or like the O-line, D-line, anything that's going to say Jacksonville can win this. I think Buffalo is a little bit overrated because of the way that they've been able to pass block and run block against the Cardinals and the Dolphins. So
that's right.
Which, by the way, the Cardinals might actually have a better defense than the Dolphins, which is not something we would have ever said coming into this week.
It's abysmal what's going on with the Dolphins.
It's nasty.
And we'll get into that with the parlay a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's move to one more thing here before we take a quick break, which is Raw Dawg.
We're raw dogging it, baby. That means we're taking an underdog and we're taking them to win outright.
Win it. This is not covering spreads. And I just want to throw a couple things at you before you get into your dog that you're raw dogging it with. Last week, underdogs were 9-5-1 ATS, 7-8 straight up. They won 7 games with them being underdogs. Which, okay, I don't know if the Bills should have been underdogs. That was one of them, but whatever.
That's laughable. I mean, you should be able to take advantage of some money lines on the early season if you feel like you have the right metrics or if you scouted correctly. Because a lot of teams treat this shit like preseason.
It still is for some of them because nobody played in the preseason. So
right.
Last thing that I would say too is that we should take into consideration the biggest money line underdog each of the first 2 weeks won outright.
Wow.
The Pats beat the Bengals and the Raiders beat the Ravens outright.
That's
so.
wild.
What
Sorry to your survivor pools.
Oh, it's a bloodbath.
I was out in week 1, so it doesn't matter
because we were all the Pats.
We were all on the Bengals.
So
and,
what are we looking at here? 7.5 is the biggest spread, I believe, which is the Niners are 7, and there is a 7.5 hanging here, right? It's the Commanders and the Bengals. The Bengals are now the biggest favorite of 2 out of 3 weeks, and they're 0-2. Just for the record.
No, run away from that. Run away from that so hard.
So we don't like the Commanders.
No, I'll tell you who I do like, though. And listen, the public is with me on this. Okay. And frankly, I'm a little bit stunned that the betting numbers aren't higher on the money line. And I do think that there's been a little bit of juice manipulation here, especially with like DraftKings, where it's only, you can get 105 plus 105. But I'm in on the Chargers this week over the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. I'll still call it Heinz Field. And I just see no reason to believe that the Chargers aren't for real, right? They're the best team in the NFL against stopping the run. They are, you say, their passing game hasn't been that good. I mean, has it even been tested? J.K. Dobbins is running the ball so well. Who gives a damn? And this is just a classic Jim Harbaugh thing. We're going to come in, and within 1 year, we're going to be the most physical team on the line of scrimmage, game in, game out. We're going to dominate you on the line of scrimmage. Joe Alt right now is the rookie of the year in the NFL. He has been so goddamn good at tackle. They have a great offensive line. They really do. There's a lot of that's coaching. A lot of that was the in-place personnel. There's a reason Jim Harbaugh took this job over so many other opportunities, because he knew that in the course of a year, he could get them with just a couple of tweaks and certainly some good coaching to the next level. And Minter has done an outstanding job on the defensive side of things. Again, there's no reason to think that the Chargers are a flash in the pan here. In fact, there's every reason to believe that they can take it 2, 3, 4 steps further, because we just still haven't seen Justin Herbert yet. And now he's in positions where he doesn't have to do it all, right? What was the Chargers' MO for the last couple of years? Well, maybe Justin Herbert will throw for 500 yards and we'll win. Now it's like he can win with a 175-yard game.
Yeah.
And they are dominating on the line of scrimmage. And so now you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know how. I guess I do. It's defense and a little bit of spit and gum. And Justin Fields has been better than expected. I think he's right around the middle in EPA and stuff like this. But let me throw this at you. Justin Fields is averaging 3.9 yards per carry as a rusher. That's his most effective mode. Unless George Pickens is going to get the ball in double coverage down the field, that's his most effective mode, is running the ball. He's not running the ball very well, Josh.
Yeah.
He really isn't.
Yeah.
And what do you think is going to happen when you have one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL, Derwin James, on the other side, and then an offense that can control the line of scrimmage against them? Pittsburgh's MO, the Chargers are better at it. I know that the Chargers don't have as good of a defense because they don't have a TJ Watt.
Yeah.
But they still got Khalil Mack. They still have Joey Bosa. There's still quality players on that defense, and certainly they have the better safety. No offense to Mika Fitzpatrick, but the Chargers' MO is the same as the Steelers' MO. We're going to win at the line of scrimmage, and the Steelers don't have the offensive line. They don't have the run game isn't there. They're not going to be able to run it against the Chargers. Their quarterback, who can run it, isn't running it very well.
Right. They don't want him to.
They have one receiver, and so they're just relying on field goals and defense. You don't think that Jim Harbaugh is going to beat them that way? Come on now. I mean, I get that the line is 1.5. It's on the road, technically neutral field. You'd say that the Chargers are favorites here,
right?
But you're giving me a 1.5. I'm just taking the money.
No, I think that tells you all you need to know. I don't know. I mean, the NFL might be one of the last places where the home field advantage is legit, outside of baseball, which changes the whole game, obviously, when you play somewhere you play.
I mean, I think it still matters a good deal in college when you have inexperienced quarterbacks.
Definitely professional sports. Sticking to that.
Yeah, I don't give a damn in the NBA.
NBA is really what we're saying. I don't give a shit about, honestly. And
maybe playoff hockey with last changes, but that's really nuanced.
Maybe, but how many 8 seeds have we seen make it to the Stanley Cup? But either way, the stacks, not letting up sacks. This is what I really see now. I know that the defense for the Steelers is going to rely a lot on rushing the quarterback, but to your point, you neutralize that with incredible run game J.K. Dobbins has stolen this. I tried to get Gus Edwards one more time, anytime touchdown last week against the worst run defense in the history of the NFL without Derek Brown. Still couldn't do it because J.K. Dobbins is that dude, was always supposed to be that dude to a degree, and is proving that he's still capable of it. So with that in mind, neutralize the Pittsburgh pass rush. You're not relying on that anyway. So who wins in the trenches? I totally agree. And the Steelers are against the spread at home as favorites in the last 5 seasons. Are 5 games below 500. There are 11 and 15 against the spread, 4 games.
Mike Tomlin might be the best underdog coach in the NFL, but he's not a good favorite coach.
Always. He has more outright wins as a road dog in the last 5 seasons than any other coach, but
he's the reverse Dennis Allen. Though Dennis might be changing it up. Dennis Allen was like the worst coach against the spread for years and years and years. Yeah. And now here we go.
Well, he's letting the offense be run by a much smarter and competent person.
Get yourself a Kubiak.
Yeah, the young stud right now. But
by the way, there's another one on the Niners staff.
Another Kubiak.
He's gone.
The tree is large. I'm gonna look at for my dog here. Yeah. I mean, it's another one that almost feels like cheating because we're coming off a situation where they just put up 41 points, and that's the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
But like, here's the thing about the Lions to me: best run game in the league, best run rush blocking in the league. You really can't try to even touch that. That's not a question. No. Not good pass blocking, and Jared Goff is doing Jared Goff things, and now he's playing outdoors in a stadium where it's also going to be swelteringly hot.
Well, I mean, they'll have the roof closed there in Arizona.
Yeah, I've heard the air conditioning doesn't work very consistently, though. But that's,
I believe that as someone who has been in there and sweated, facts.
Yeah. So I believe that you know what I'm talking about then. And so I think
I look like a sweater, so maybe I'm not the same.
You're not the barometer for John Everyman. We'll say that.
Right. Let's go with
that. But at the same time, like the dudes that are going to be out there are going to be bigger than you, I promise. So they're going to be sweating their balls off as well. Yep. The reasoning that I really have that I'm using mostly for this Arizona Cardinals win this game outright is their ability to move the ball. I think they will get those deep plays. The DBs for the Lions are the weak point of this defense without question, especially because of how good they are up front. Aiden Hutchinson making his case for
he's
defensive
awesome.
player of the year. That's obviously, right. They lost that game despite 5 sacks from the man last week. So
he's got every move in the book, man. There's some metrics that show all the different moves that pass rushers can have, and listen, this isn't to say it's the be all to end all. Most guys have one great, like Reggie White had one move. He had the hump. Yeah. Like, well, that didn't stop him from being the best pass rusher, arguably in the history of the NFL. But Aiden Hutchinson's got everything. He's got the full bag. And by the way, he doesn't just have the full bag. He's also producing off the full bag. Right. It's interesting that we're both fading.
I know.
In arguably the 2 best pass rushers in the NFL.
Definitely.
Right now.
Yeah.
I'm fading TJ Watt. You're fading Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah. No
Something
question.
to be said there.
Absolutely. No question. Soon to be followed maybe by Will Anderson. He's been wreaking havoc too, but he's not quite there yet. But
no, he's not.
I think if Arizona can even limit the run in any way, and the other thing is if they can put pressure by scoring quickly again, Kyler's come out in the first half and look incredible. I think a first half bet on the Cardinals is not a bad play here as well. It's probably going to be closer to like +1, I would imagine. So if you just take them on the money line at the half, I think that's a look. And really, like for their ability to pass the ball and stop the pass, that's been everything. I mean, you give up 10 points. Obviously, the Rams banged up, a cursed team of the year without question at this point.
Yeah, they're awful.
They've had. They just lost their 2 best receivers and their whole offensive line and their whole backup offensive line. They're toast. So you can also make the Niners winning that game a lock if you want. But the way that the Cardinals are stopping the pass, 7th in pressure percentage, it's really just it. They do have decent enough DBs at this point if they are not left on an island for too long, which is what you could say. Insert that for pretty much every corner in the league, but I think that's gonna be huge if the Lions can't stop the pass the way that they haven't been able to up to this point and get off the field in crucial situations against teams against Baker and company as well. Then they're going to continue to be in trouble against a team that can move the ball, big chunks, all that. So I'm taking the Cardinals at +130 as the raw dog.
Let me throw you one thing as well. There are 3 immobile quarterbacks in the NFL. 2 of them are old men coming off Achilles injuries. The other one is Jared Goff. Okay, those are the guys who do not move. They're statues in the pocket.
Yeah.
That makes it a lot easier to scheme. And yes, they can probably still run the ball with impunity, but Amon-Ra St. Brown's got that thing. Now, that doesn't seem great because he should be the first, the last, the everything for that passing offense at this juncture. with no offense to Sam Laporta.
Yeah.
The flip side is the Lions linebackers. Sorry, I know people like Anzalone, and I know that they like those guys suck. Like they're not capable of hanging with Kyler. They're just not. And we saw what happened last week against a Rams defense that has a lot of similarities. Now, Jared Verse is nowhere near what we're talking about when we got Hutchinson, but we're talking about the same kind of questionable secondary, the same extremely questionable linebacker play, and a defensive line that is effectively one dude. It's just effectively one dude making things happen, trying to get one-on-one situations. We saw what happened. Cardinals absolutely blew out the Rams. So to say, hey, I'm not saying, I don't know if I'm as hot on this one at plus 128, 125, wherever it is, with the Cardinals to win outright. And that number does feel volatile, given that there should be a lot of points in this game.
Yeah.
But I'm totally with you. I mean, I think that this is a Kyler bet more than anything else, and a bet against Detroit's defensive personnel, which is just not built to handle a quarterback that's going to be extending plays for like 14 seconds at a time. It's absurd.
There's nobody. I don't know which defense is built to withstand a quarterback who can hold on to the ball for that long and not get tackled without even having to make a play. Then he's letting Marv get down the field now.
Yeah, and we're also dealing with early season Kyler. Like, I don't think this will stick around, because every year this happens where Kyler comes out and you're like, is this guy the MVP of the league? Right. And then the little bitty man gets hit a couple of times, and around week 8 he starts to fall apart.
Week 6 to 8, 100%.
Yeah, week 6 to 8. Now this year you also get the Call of Duty situation coming in around week 6 to 8. So like, get in on your Kyler Murray now, because it's always spectacular at the beginning of the season and it always fades.
Yeah, get in before the next COD comes out. As soon as the new COD is out,
I'm surprised this line is only 3.
I know,
and 61% of the public is on this one. It's a bit aggressive, but yeah, if you home dog a field goal or less, come on, that's good. That's good policy to just take the money line.